Hi, I'm Austin Artham. Welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast. I'm here to motivate, educate, and really let you guys share my stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Welcome to episode 132. Appreciate you guys tuning in this week. Going to be a little bit of a quick one. I feel like even though we have a variety of lessons from a abundance of topics that I've learned from this week, and we're going to jump right through those. If you're new here, what we do is we have a quote of the week, and then we talk about where I saw God this past week and go through the life lessons that I've learned, hopefully give a direction of where I'm trying to go with myself, and hopefully shed some light on onto you guys and what you're trying to go through to get to where you want to be as well. So without further ado, here we go. Quote of the week this past week is something I put on Twitter for Motivation Monday. And I think it actually would have been last week, but I think it's important. So I'm not going to go quote for quote because I don't have it in front of me. But it's basically about don't think about don't think about the harvest you're going to get, but think about the planting and the watering and the process in order to get the harvest. So you're going to reap the benefits, yes, but don't think about that at the start. Think about the day-to-day work, and are you putting in that work in order to have success? And I think the same thing is important with life. A lot of times we think about the end goal. I want to fill in the blank. It could be getting an A. It could be doing well in your sport or being all-state or going to the state tournament. It could be marrying a certain somebody. It could be moving up in your job in a certain promotional role. But we got to think about the day-to-day. What do I need to do today? What do I need to do tomorrow? What do I need to do this week in order to reach those goals? And we've talked about this a lot before, but enjoying the process and going through the process correctly is going to end up being a lot more successful than just jump into whatever that may be. The last thing I'll do is I use the example of Andy Reid, right? Andy Reid, I used this before. He used to be a tight ends coach, and he was an offensive line coach, and then he was a full-on offensive coordinator, and then he learned about the defensive side of the ball, and then he became a head coach, right? He didn't just jump from position coach to head coach, and didn't just do that at the NFL level. He started at Division III and worked his way up. And that can be hard because we only see I want to be that person, but it takes a lot of time. But thinking about the process and enjoying the process helps you stay in the moment, which is going to help you perform better over a long period of time. Where I saw God this past week, again, with football, just learning kind of my role and what we want to do is exciting to kick or see a kickoff return for a touchdown for us, not for the other team. But just thinking about at the higher levels, how do you, one, need to learn more of the rules, two, need to learn more about each player, three, need to learn more about scheming and formations in general and blocking and little technique and details. But then I think about the top level, how do you coach people think about kickers in the NFL? How do you coach kickers in the NFL who have as much knowledge as you? So then you're maybe a motivator. So how do you be that motivator? And learning ways through that. And I have some ideas that I'm not going to obviously share, but learning how to coach at certain levels in different scenarios is a great way to work on the details and continually reflect on that. I did a lesson on motivation and self-awareness, and my motivation is because I want to learn that stuff and I want to reach that level possibly. And I don't know, but I know it's not going to hurt me to. So continually learning about that stuff can help my current position as well as any future position that I might have. So set yourself up for that kind of success in the long run, again, with the process. What I learned this week. Okay, so first of all, I have exercise-induced bronchitis, whatever it is, I think. And I'm not sure if it's from COVID vaccine. I'm not sure if it's from, my brother has asthma, so maybe it's just me having a different type of asthma that I didn't expect. But I get it in the fall and then through the whole winter. And I don't think it's just because the air is changing and you're breathing in that hot or that cool air getting into your lungs with the hot air, and your kind of chest gets sore per se, and it feels like you're breathing heavy. So I wonder what that is, and it's something that I need to learn how to get over. So I learned all about it and things that we can do, like wearing a mask in order to breathe in the hot air instead of just the cold air. But obviously then it's harder to breathe, it feels like. So just learning about a hiccup that might happen in my workouts, how to overcome that. It might be the same with you for an injury. It might be the same for you for a coworker you have to do a presentation with that you don't like. So how can we work over that hump and continue to solve problems, not symptoms? So that's something I was just reflecting on a little bit. It doesn't happen all the time. I also think that the more hard workouts I do, the less it would happen. So in the fall, I don't do as many hard workouts just because I got a lot of stuff going on, and try to do different types of workouts per se. So learning that as well might be a good possibility to, hey, I need to change this up a little bit. Second thing I learned is from another coach. We're sitting before a football game this past week, talking like we always do, and waiting for our meeting to start. And one person had what's called the Yuka app. So basically, it scans your ingredients on your drinks that you might have. So I had like a Fit Aid, which is a recovery creatine drink, and he had like a Gatorade Propel thing, and then somebody else had a Monster, and it goes out of a scale of 100 of how healthy it is and how many quality ingredients there are compared to others. And the Fit Aid was the best, and then the Monster, and then the Gatorade, which is like a Propel type G something drink, but it was made by Gatorade. And another way to boost your health, right? I watched a video this week on maybe eating some more red meat and less veggies and seeing if that helps you get the nutrients, or eating just certain types of vegetables instead, and doing ones that you like as well. And I used to eat a lot of meat and then I stopped because essentially I just ate too much. But now maybe I know a little bit more about myself, so I kind of know what portions I might need, and I can take out something else to add for those meat and keep it really simple. And I'm about keeping it simple, and again, the spices and sauces are what makes it good, but I'm not good at making those. So learning about, okay, what do I need to be able to have that joy in the meal, something, but also have the health of it. So I'm working on learning that stuff, and just another tidbit to add to the repertoire of nutrition and to get 1% better every day. The other thing I want to talk about, since we're on kind of the health thing, is the nostril. I just learned on Andrew Huberman's podcast with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's podcast had Huberman on about the nostril. So when you smell, if you like smell out of your left nostril and then you sense it out of your right, it's because your nervous system is basically waking up, right? So you got your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. It's basically your adrenaline's rising when you smell. So like if you smell out of both, but you only go out of one instead, it's because your system's rising, right? Your adrenaline's going. And that's why people use smelling salts, because it gets your adrenaline going. But we don't want to kill the olfactory sensors either, which can happen. But I thought that was interesting. Then you think about like, okay, what do I do? So you can do mind games when you're in the car is what they were talking about. Another example could be that when you're the cold plunge, that mind games really do work. So you talk to yourself about count steps or count beats, or sing a song in your head. All those things really do work. And when you're trying to sleep at night, it's good to go in like the sauna before that, because your body's hot. So then it thinks, hey, I need to cool down. And that makes you tired. Versus in the morning, your body's cool and you wake up and it thinks, hey, I need to warm it up. So then you end up to get colder. Get to warmer. And then that makes you obviously be awake for the day because your body's moving and stuff. So our senses are super important. And I've talked about a lot of people with sports psychology for visualization and imagery, and this is why it's so important, because you sense it. And now these are real world examples of how we might use it. So if in the car you're tired, if you put a cold washcloth or put a cold drink up to you, and wipe your face with it, then it gets the senses going again, and you're up for a couple more minutes. If you need something to keep you awake, smell something, right? Put some pizza in the car, something that you're willing to smell, and that will help you keep going, right? There's always a memory associated with smell as well. So some people say they can smell BS, right? Why is that? We don't know a lot of the details yet, but that might be a real thing. So using little tactics to help you get a little bit smarter and a little bit of an edge, I think would be a good idea for you as well. All right. The last thing, or two more really. First thing I want to talk about is the normalization of issues, right? So somebody has anxiety, somebody has struggles with depression or wants to basically, they're an independent contractor, but they play for a team, right? I was watching a video on that today. How can we normalize those things, right? So everybody's going to have some sort of issue. And I think some of the things, I did a video on anxiety the other day. And one of the biggest things with anxiety is just understanding that everybody has it. And some stress is good stress, and too much stress happens, and it's okay. It's about learning to deal with that stress. That's important. And if you can't deal with it, that's when things start to spiral, right? If you don't feel in control of something, then it gets much harder to do. So how can we give ourselves control, right? What are our strengths? What are we good at? What can we lean on? What people can we lean on? What tasks do we know? What skills have we learned? That's the point of kind of mental training and just normalizing what's good and what's bad for ourselves, not necessarily in real life what's good or bad, because everybody's got different opinions and thoughts. But if we can normalize things, then that's going to give us a leg up and feel confident moving forward. And being confident leads to better self-talk and higher performance, which is ultimately what we want. So I think the first thing we need to do as a society is just normalize that issues are a thing for everybody, and there's no one road fits all, one size fits all, and have an empathy for what people are going through, no matter if we think it's an issue or not. And then how do we deal with that and learning from them, so if we're ever in a similar situation, we know how to deal with it as well. And I think being calm in that aspect and working through it and having a clear mind and reflecting is also going to help you have more success in the long run. And the last thing is, the more you do something, the closer you become. So I think about football teams. So they hang out all fall. There's little games within the team that only they know. And I think of people you hang out with as a company, your coworkers, think about girlfriend, boyfriend, all those things. The more you get to know somebody, the deeper the bond becomes. And it's really hard at the start. I always think at the start of the year that, what's my class going to look like this year? And then once you get 3-4 weeks in the school, you understand, you start building that bond and your norms and your settings, get to know them a little bit. Same thing with teams, same thing with any organization that you're a part of. The hard part is, I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to do this, don't want to do that. But the more you sit down and talk, the more you learn about them and have conversations not revolving coworkers, not revolving around work. Football coaches not revolving just around football. Right? How can we get outside that topic and get a little more personable? And that's when people become closer. And I think that's a huge benefit for your teams, your organizations, and your classrooms. So I invite you to get out of the box and get everybody on the same page of that from the very first day. And the more you can create kind of that family atmosphere, the more success also you're going to have. So there's been a variety of lessons in this 15 minutes here. But I think the key is they all help you get not only 1% better, but all help you have more success in the long run. Right? The more you can come to work with a process-oriented personality, the more you can learn to solve problems, the more you can find little tidbits of information that'll help you get better. And the more you can kind of see the overarching of what's going on, and find ways to get better at the details, is going to help you. And I think a lot of people brush over those, me, myself included. And something I'm working on for the fall, as I said a couple weeks ago, to help get on those details and be a little bit smarter and take the time to put in that work and be successful. And you can always find more time. The great ones do. That's why people make the big bucks for the most part. So if you want that to be you, you can put in that time. If you don't, then I encourage you to reflect and think about what you do need and what is your motivation behind that. And that's all I got for you guys this week. We're going to end right before 1440. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week for 133. Love you. Bye.